Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. I have some quick announcements, some free stuff, some paid stuff. The first thing is next Wednesday is the start of the Diet and Lifestyle Intervention course. And this is the 15-module course you've heard me talk about that covers men's health, women's health, children's health, cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cognitive health, Alzheimer's disease, gastrointestinal disorders, and autoimmune. It's an overview course. The good part for many of you is it doesn't have homework in between classes. There's a final project at the end that you can finish if you intend to get credit for it, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine too. That starts next Wednesday, so it's time to enroll. And I know everybody waits the last minute for stuff, and that's really fun, but you might want to think about doing it sooner than the day before. So I can send you the course catalog if you send me an email. The second thing, there's a couple of free things going on. The first one is the free member, next free member tour or free person tour, non-member tour, I suppose is a better way to say it. You're not a member of Wellness Forum, you want to check it out. We give free tours, and then I conduct a health Q&A afterwards. That is scheduled for September 13th. And then I'm going to talk about our cancer campaign in a minute. That's free to participate in. We're going to pay you if you'll pledge and learn about cancer prevention. So that's also free. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Our conference is coming up, and that's November 3rd through 5th. It's virtual this year for a lot of reasons. The tickets are $259 for the whole weekend if you're a member, and $299 if you're not. And business training starts September 11th for health professionals. We teach you how to make presentations, how to be a good teacher, how to market yourself, etc. It's a fabulous course. It does involve some homework, by the way, because you have to actually do stuff so that you're ready to be in business or to launch the ideas that you learn. And last but not least, my virtual yoga class is full. However, I will teach another yoga class if I have enough interest. So if you're interested in virtual yoga, which is 4 classes, 1 private, and then access to a platform, send me an email. So that's lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff. There's always a lot of stuff going on at Wellness Forum. There's literally something for everybody who's interested in health. And I know that you all are, or you wouldn't even be watching this. So today's message is about cancer because next week, right after Labor Day, is when we launch our Prevent Cancer campaign. And so I'll just start by going through some risk factors for cancer that you might not have thought about. So I'll just start by saying this. Cancer is one of the most preventable diseases. And I know people think it just strikes people when they're walking down the sidewalk, or it's genetics, and it's really not. There are so many things that you can do: adopting an optimal diet, losing weight, not smoking, reserving alcohol for special occasions. Those are all cancer prevention strategies, will reduce your risk. But there's a strategy that we don't talk often enough about, and that is don't develop other diseases. According to a study that looked at over 400,000 patients, having markers for cardiovascular disease, such as high blood pressure and high cholesterol, markers for kidney disease, pulmonary disease, gouty arthritis, and conditions like diabetes, increased both the risk of developing cancer and also the risk of dying from it. The effect was dose dependent, which is important in determining causality or causation. The more abnormal the markers, the more serious disease, the higher the risk, with the highest levels associated with an over 2-fold increased risk of cancer and a 4-fold increased risk of death. Together, these markers and conditions contributed to over 20% of all cancers and almost 39% of all cancer deaths. Now, to put this in perspective, this is comparable to the risk associated with all 5 major lifestyle risk factors combined, which include smoking or a history of smoking, not enough physical activity, failure to eat enough fruits and vegetables, alcohol consumption, and obesity. High total cholesterol and high protein levels are the strongest predictors of cancer risk. And of course, we know why some of this is, that we know the mechanism of action. In the case of high cholesterol, for example, cancer cells live off of plasma cholesterol as a food source until they can build the vasculature to feed themselves extra glucose. And diabetes in particular, or even trending toward diabetes, is a major risk factor. I believe it's 88% of pancreatic cancer patients are diabetic. And of course, pancreatic cancer is notoriously difficult to treat, and the survival rate is very, very low. The researchers in this study note that chronic disease is not commonly identified as a risk factor for cancer, and resolving chronic disease is not listed as a target for prevention. They say that failure to do so presents a missed opportunity and concluded, quote, recognizing the substantial reduction in lifespan and increase in cancer risk associated with non-cancer chronic diseases could be used as a teachable moment to stimulate motivation for better management of such diseases, end of quote. I agree. I think one of the most astounding things that I have noticed about cancer patients when I talk to them is how many of them believe that they're healthy. And they look at their diet, they always say things like, I think I eat a pretty healthy diet. I know I'm doing a lot better than other people. Well, other people may not be the best benchmark. Their opinions about their health status are disconnected from reality. I mean, I'm looking at them. They're often overweight. They have significant medical history. They take or have taken many medications. And I guess part of the problem is that being overweight and unhealthy and taking medication is like the new norm. So it doesn't seem that abnormal to people who fit that description. These data show clearly the importance of resolving chronic conditions whenever possible. The current way in which we treat conditions like cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes addresses symptoms and biomarkers, but not the underlying disease, which continues to progress and is the risk factor for cancer. These diseases both decrease quality of life and decrease lifespan. But if people live long enough, they often lead to more serious conditions like cancer. The good news is that the diet and lifestyle habits that you would adopt to avoid these conditions that are risk factors for cancer are the same diet and lifestyle factors that reduce the risk of cancer. And that goes to the breadth of the effect of diet and lifestyle habits as opposed to drugs which target individual biomarkers, for example. So with that, our cancer campaign starts next Tuesday. And here's the way this works. You sign a pledge to commit to learn how to prevent cancer. And a lot of people think they know how to prevent cancer, but they really don't. They do not understand the risk factors. So I'm holding regular informational sessions free for the people who sign the pledge. And you also get a $100 certificate that you can invest in our courses or certain of our memberships, or even a conference ticket. You know, if you're a non-member and you sign the pledge, your conference ticket goes from $299 down to $199. So we'll send you a whole list of over 50 things that you can choose from once you sign that pledge. You can also enroll as a person who's going to go get others to sign pledges, and we will give you certificates for securing those pledges as well. So you could earn a whole bunch of money toward things that you might like to do at Wellness Forum. So if you're interested in any of the things I've talked about today, and you should be, at least in the core part of this message, my email address is pampopper@msn.com. Send me an email, I'll send you details, and I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. Cancer is a really, really preventable disease, and you can't reduce your risk to zero. There is no such thing as risk-free living, but you can sure as heck reduce your risk a whole big bunch. And there's a security in knowing that you're doing everything you can to prevent a condition like cancer. And so often, one thing that I'll add to this I think is really important is I hear in the office all the time, if I'd known then what I know now, I would have done things differently. And a lot of times people will say to me, if I'd known that, you know, having cocktails 3 or 4 times a week was a risk factor, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done anything deliberately to bring on this situation I'm in right now. Or if I'd known that carrying this extra weight could lead to terminal cancer, I would have lost the weight. So this is time to think ahead and to do something about the things that you know that aren't quite right, so that you don't end up being one of those people, you know, saying, if I knew then what I know now. All right, that's all for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.